The final words hung in the warm evening air, leaving not only the young flower seller stunned, but also Leon, who had been meticulously selecting the largest rose, frozen in place. He crouched on the sidewalk, head snapping up to stare at Elliot, as if he couldn't trust what his ears had just heard. While the boy fumbled to wrap the chosen rose, Leon remained motionless, his gaze locked on Elliot, who was also kneeling on the pavement. Under the amber glow of a street lamp, Elliot's eyes curved into crescents, a soft dimple appearing in his cheek as he held out the deepest red rose. "Well?" he asked, his voice quiet. Leon's breath hitched. A whisper escaped him, more to himself. "Boyfriend?" Before Elliot could respond, a hand clapped over his mouth. Leon's throat worked, his grip firm yet trembling. "You gave it," he stated, a forced fierceness in his tone. It was a gift, and gifts weren't taken back. A deep-seated fear that this was some fleeting impulse made him repeat, "You can't take it back." Then, after a beat, his ears tinged pink as he added softer, "At least not tonight. Let him have this one night of happiness." Elliot just blinked. "Take it back?" He gently pried the hand from his mouth. "Why would I?" "I don't know," Leon muttered, still looking dazed. Felt surreal, like a dream he might wake from. Pressing the wrapped rose into Leon's hand, Elliot's own ears grew warm. "So, do you want it or not?" "Yes." Leon wiped his palms on his jeans, then accepted the flower with utmost care, as if it were made of glass. A sudden thought made Elliot glance toward the group loitering near the food truck park. Miles and the others were pretending intense interest in their phones or the asphalt, except for Chris, who was left staring at the dark sky, muttering about the lack of light. Elliot felt a flicker of relief. He wasn't ready for that conversation yet. How would his friends react to two of their own being together? Especially Caleb. Elliot worried Caleb might be uncomfortable with the idea. That seemed the right word. Caleb always developed a hacking cough whenever he and Leon stood too close. Leon, meanwhile, was gazing at his rose in a kind of trance, only stirring when Elliot pulled him up to join the others. The group migrated to a late-night diner, its neon sign buzzing in the humid air. The booth they crammed into drew glances, mainly because Leon refused to relinquish the rose. He sat stiffly on the vinyl seat, the enormous bloom cradled in one arm, a burger in his other hand. "Put it down," Elliot urged under his breath. Leon simply shook his head, a picture of stubborn composure. He fantasized about driving to Caleb's dorm right now and announcing his victory through a megaphone. Passers-by did double takes at the tall blonde cradling the flower. Under the table, Elliot nudged his knee. Facing their friend's silent scrutiny, he offered an explanation. "It was getting late. We just wanted the kid to sell the last of his stock and get home." The group nodded, their eyes still occasionally drifting to the rose with intense curiosity. Leon, initially tolerant, grew annoyed and draped his leather jacket over the flower, shielding it from view. The night stretched on, filled with greasy food and laughter that eventually turned to reckless drinking games. By 2 a.m., most were slumped in the booth. Elliot, who hadn't touched alcohol, returned from the restroom to find Leon waiting for him, the rose still secured in the crook of his arm. He leaned against the booth, long legs stretched out, a question in his tired eyes about where Elliot had been. Elliot helped navigate the aftermath. Miles, semi-coherent, called a rideshare and hauled a snoozing Theo into it. Caleb managed to bundle Chris into another car, pausing to roll down the window. "You sure you can handle him?" he asked, jerking his chin toward Leon. Elliot looked at Leon, who was now intently studying a rose petal. "I've got it." Back at Elliot's apartment, Leon was unervingly quiet, his focus entirely on the flower. Once inside Elliot's room, he sat on the edge of the bed, watching Elliot move about. Then, out of nowhere, he asked, "What am I to you?" Elliot was researching hangover remedies on his phone. "Boyfriend," Leon answered his own question softly. A pause. "I'm your boyfriend." He said it again with a touch of solemn pride. The kind you go on dates with. Elliot walked over and cupped his face. Close your eyes. Or else I'm not. Leon mumbled, but he obediently shut them, his eyelids sealing tight. No amount of prodding from Elliot could get them to reopen. The next morning, Leon emerged from a lengthy, contemplative shower, the reality of his new status slowly solidifying. But the true anchor came weeks later, with the arrival of college acceptance letters. Elliot's name was near the top of the state rankings. Leon's scores secured him a place at the same prestigious university. Elliot was radiant with shared joy. He chose a major in biological sciences. Leon entered the business school. Life after 18 accelerated for Leon. His father, Richard, began integrating him into the family enterprise with ruthless efficiency, piling on finance tutors and preparatory work. Leon accepted it without complaint. He had long-term plans that required stepping into those shoes. When fall semester began, Elliot's father couldn't accompany him due to a family matter. So Elliot moved into the dorms with Leon by his side. The biology department's dorm was a spacious quad with private baths. Elliot was the last to arrive. His roommates, Liam, Zach, and Dean, had already bonded over a campus exploration. Kneeling by an open suitcase, Leon pointed to various bottles. This one's for bug bites. This white one is antihistamine cream for rashes. Elliot nodded along with feigned seriousness. Leon stopped mid-sentence. Forget it. Just call me. Send a picture. Is our dorm that far? Elliot asked, a thread of anxiety in his voice. He'd heard horror stories of campus-sized relationships feeling like long distance. Leon's expression soured. It's miles. How many miles? 3 buildings, Leon grumbled, as if it were a continental divide. To him, it might as well have been. They'd never been separated by 3 buildings before. In his newly official, possessive state, it felt like an outrage. Elliot, relieved, went back to unpacking. Leon ranted about the injustice of architectural planning, then climbed to the top bunk to assemble Elliot's bedding. When Elliot scrambled up to help, Leon, without missing a beat, handed him several stuffed animals and their tiny clothes. Here, dress them. An hour later, the room was orderly, Elliot's desk arranged just so. He offered to help Leon unpack, but Leon insisted he stay, promising to meet for dinner. At 6 p.m., Elliot descended the stairs. Leon waited below, one hand in his pocket, his posture straight. With his striking features and sun-streaked hair, he drew looks. When Elliot appeared, dark-haired, pale, with a quiet, almost delicate air, the contrast turned even more heads. The campus dining hall was vast, but the offerings were heavy and sweet. Elliot picked at his food, drinking more water than anything. Leon silently finished the bulk of Elliot's plate. Back in his dorm that evening, Elliot found his roommates immersed in a video game. Liam, sprawled in a gaming chair, grinned. You're in bed 3, right?
I'm Liam.
He introduced Zach and Dean. Elliot, got here this afternoon. Liam waved at the screen. Want in? Elliot declined politely. Later, as the scent of instant ramen filled the room around 10, Liam hesitated, then approached Elliot's bunk. Hey, we're having some. Want a cup? Elliot shook his head. I didn't buy any. So? I've got plenty. Take your pick. 10 minutes later, Liam and Zach watched, mildly astonished, as their seemingly reserved roommate devoured the noodles, broth and all. You've never had cup noodles before? Zach ventured. I have, Elliot said earnestly. Just never a whole cup. Leon usually allowed him 2 forkfuls as a treat. Liam's smile faded, replaced by a sudden, misguided pity. The shared snack broke the ice. After lights out, conversation drifted from high school tales to past crushes. My deskmate was the cutest, Liam sighed. Big eyes like a bunny. Lost touch after senior year. He turned his curiosity to Elliot. You must have had people lining up, right? Not really.
Small.
Or, wait, you seeing someone? Elliot paused. Yeah, I am. The room buzzed. What's they like? Liam asked. Gotta be gorgeous. They are, Elliot said, a small smile forming. Really cute eyes. Like an animal's. He thought of the clear, bright blue so familiar. Liam chuckled. Sounds like a sweetheart. Across the 3-building chasm in the business school dorm, Leon lay in bed, listening to his roommate, Kyle, whisper sweet nothings into his phone. Miss you most, baby. Okay, sleep tight. After the call, Kyle popped his head up. Sorry, guys. New relationship. Long distance. We'll keep it down soon. Leon, also newly in a relationship, stared at his dark, silent phone screen. He shoved it under his pillow. Worthless piece of tech. He'd get a new one tomorrow. One that actually received messages.
2 Uhr AM.
Leon sat on the dorm balcony, the night quiet except for crickets. Kyle stumbled out, half asleep. You okay, man? Fine. Kyle pulled out a pack of cigarettes. Want one? No. My person can't stand the smell. Kyle nodded sagely, squatting down. Same with my girl. Nose like a bloodhound. He sighed. Long distance sucks. I was just looking at our pics, missing her like crazy. He glanced at Leon. What's keeping you up? Leon eyed his phone. Nothing. A moment passed. You call her every night? Yeah, Kyle said, a little sheepish. Fresh relationship, you know? Plus, we were together all through high school. This separation's new. He grinned. She's real clingy. In a good way. Leon's jaw tightened. Mine's clingy too. He spoke suddenly, as if the words were forced out. From the earliest days, Elliot had always sought him out. For meals, for everything. It was a constant. Kyle, assuming shared hardship, asked, how far apart are you guys? Far, Leon stated grimly. An ocean might as well have been between those 3 buildings. Kyle offered sympathetic, rambling comfort until nearly 3 a.m. When he finally escaped to bed, bewildered by his seemingly aloof roommate's sudden verbosity. Leon, however, felt marginally better. So what if Elliot slept soundly alone? So what if there was no call, no text? It was fine. He was just concerned about potential allergens in the dorm, faulty wiring, sleepwalking roommates, improbable fires. He'd even looked up dormitory fire extinguisher locations. He finally stood up. It was normal. Elliot was an adult.
5:30 AM.
Leon, fully dressed, watched the minute hand on his watch crawl forward.
6 Uhr AM.
He left his dorm without a sound.
7:30 AM.
Elliot, yawning and carrying a trash bag, found Leon leaning against the wall by his building, dark circles under his eyes. Leon's first action was to carefully, then playfully, pinch and prod Elliot's cheeks, as if checking for structural integrity. Elliot, in turn, reached up and did the same to him, his fingers lingering on Leon's nose until his hand was gently captured. Sleep okay? Leon asked. Great, Elliot said, brightening. My roommates are cool. No es noring. Used to it already? Leon's voice was careful. Elliot caught his tone. Didn't you? Leon looked away. He didn't know how to articulate the hollow feeling. He'd waited half the night for a call that never came, worried Elliot might be struggling. The realization that Elliot was perfectly fine without him left Leon as the unsettled one. Noticing the silence, Elliot pressed. You didn't sleep well. I'm fine. Elliot reached up and gently touched the skin beneath Leon's eyes. You should look in a mirror before you leave the house. Why? You look like you went 12 rounds. Leon's mood plummeted further. Other couples in their honeymoon phase whispered sweet nothings. His boyfriend's observation was about his resemblance to a prizefighter. Elliot saw the shift. You're the most handsome to me, he tried. Leon looked even more dejected. Hollow platitudes. Thinking quickly, Elliot stood on his toes, guided Leon's face down. and placed a firm kiss on one closed eyelid. I mean it. The effect was instant. A faint blush crept up Leon's neck. I know. He wouldn't be lied to. He stood still, staring. What? Elliot asked after a moment. Leon mumbled, you only kissed one side. Then tell me why you didn't sleep. The bed's unfamiliar. You slept on my grandma's lumpy couch just fine last winter. Leon exhaled. It wasn't about the bed. It was about the absence of the person next to it. Maybe you could call me before you sleep, or we could video chat. Elliot was puzzled. They were 3 buildings apart. Why did this feel like planning for different time zones? But he nodded. Okay. Tonight. He added softly, I did miss talking to you last night. Right before I fell asleep, I remembered this specific jigsaw puzzle we saw once. I almost got up to text you about it. The impulse had been strange and strong, like a carbonated thought fizzing over. Leon's heart squeezed. Tell me now. Maybe we could look into off-campus housing after orientation, he suggested casually, having already spent hours researching apartments online. He'd noticed Elliot picking at the dining hall food. My roommates are nice, Elliot said, and the food's okay. This was after a delightful late-night ramen session. Leon let it go, confident Elliot would come around once he tired of dorm cuisine.
8 Uhr AM.
Elliot returned to his dorm with breakfast for everyone. Liam, munching on a pastry, asked, so, you didn't eat alone? Zach laughed. He's not single, remember? Liam grinned. Bring your girl around sometime. Elliot hesitated. She's not what you might expect. Whatever, Liam said, waving a hand. If she's with you, she's cool. In his mind, she was a petite, smiling girl, implied by Elliot's earlier description of cute eyes. Elliot felt a flicker of relief. Days later, Leon's workload from his father and his cousin, Lucas, who ran a startup in the city, was immense. He chafed under the pressure, but Elliot's encouragement was a balm. He asked, repeatedly, for Elliot to visit him at the office. Elliot finally went on a Saturday afternoon, only to be told Leon was in a meeting. In the plush, quiet lounge, lulled by familiar scents, he fell asleep on a sofa. He awoke to the feeling of a blanket being tucked around him. Leon knelt beside him, his usually sharp features softened. He brushed Elliot's hair back and, unable to resist, bent to press a kiss to his lips. The door clicked open. Lucas stood frozen in the doorway. On the rooftop terrace minutes later, Lucas stared at his cousin. Care to explain? I'm gay, Leon said flatly. And you're just doing that here? My parents have known since I was a junior. Lucas was speechless. He eventually asked, and that boy? A smug, proud look crossed Leon's face. Yes, we're together. It took Lucas a moment to connect the young man on the sofa to the small, quiet boy from years ago, the one Leon had always been so fiercely protective of. Does his family know? Leon's confidence dimmed. No. His voice lowered. It's just him and his dad. He knew how much Elliot respected his father, a man who had worked tirelessly to raise his son and who dreamed of a simple, healthy, traditional future for him. A future Leon wasn't sure he fit into. He stood up abruptly. I need the code to your place in the West End. Why? I'm staying there tonight. 7 p.m. Over dinner at a quiet bistro, Elliot picked at his food, repeatedly serving the best bites onto Leon's plate. You don't like it? Leon frowned. I do. You've been working so hard. You need it more. Elliot piled more food on, his expression one of deep concern. You've lost weight. It's worrying. Leon, momentarily convinced, ate obediently, making a mental note to find a gym. After dropping Elliot at his dorm, Leon sat in his car, frowning. He hadn't lost weight, and Elliot hadn't hugged him in days to even make such a judgment. A small, nagging doubt took root. 9 p.m. Elliot's dorm. Dude, did you see that car downstairs? Zach burst in. A freaking Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Liam whistled. No way. Who in our building has that kind of money? Elliot, carefully opening a bag of cookies, looked up blankly. What car? Never mind, Liam said, tossing him another packet. Here, try these. 9:15 p.m. A faint creak from the top bunk. Liam glanced over and jumped up. Elliot was deathly pale, sweating, and weakly trying to climb down. Hey, what's wrong? Stomach hurts, Elliot managed. As they helped him up, his phone vibrated on the desk. Leon's name flashed on the screen. Don't. Elliot gasped, a last surge of adrenaline giving his voice force. Don't answer it. Zach, startled, hit the decline button instead. The phone rang again. And again. Is it family? Liam asked, panicked. Shouldn't we? It's my boyfriend, Elliot whispered, slumping against him. Liam and Zach shared a bewildered look. The fever was talking. Downstairs, Leon leaned against his car, watching his calls go to voicemail. On the passenger seat sat a small box from a famed patisserie. He'd noticed Elliot's waning appetite and had gone out of his way to get it. With a sigh, he started the engine. As he began to pull away, his headlights swept across the dorm entrance, illuminating a small group. His blood ran cold. There was Elliot, supported by his roommates, pale and hunched over, looking terrifyingly fragile. The car screeched to a halt. Leon was out and across the pavement in seconds. Let go, he commanded Liam, his voice tight. He scooped Elliot into his arms, ignoring the stunned protests, and placed him gently in the passenger seat. A bewildered Liam and Zach found themselves in the back as the powerful car tore toward the city hospital. In the emergency room, Leon moved with a grim, practiced efficiency. Acute gastroenteritis, the doctor concluded. Dehydration. For fluids. In the hallway, Liam approached the imposing blonde man. You're his brother? Leon shook his head, extending a hand. Boyfriend. The two roommates stared, their mental image of a cute, sweet-natured girlfriend shattering completely. Can you tell me? Leon asked, his voice deceptively calm. What he's been eating lately. 11 p.m. Hospital room. Elliot opened his eyes to find Leon sitting vigil in a chair, his gaze unblinking. Elliot's first instinct was to shut his eyes again. This couldn't be real. So that's why you weren't eating dinner, Leon said, his tone dangerously even.
Instant noodles.
Snack cakes. Your roommate said your cupboard is a rodent's paradise. Elliot shrank under the covers. Why did you hang up on me? Leon's question was quiet. I thought it was just a stomachache, Elliot mumbled, his voice weak. He instinctively nuzzled into the hand Leon placed on his cheek, a gesture of apology. Leon remembered the roommate's guilty confession. He just seemed so slight and so polite, I thought he needed feeding up. I didn't know. The fear Leon had felt upon seeing Elliot so vulnerable still hummed under his skin. The cold sweat on Elliot's brow had felt like a brand. Later, outside the hospital, Elliot, bundled in a coat, watched Leon make a call. Lucas. The apartment in the West End. I need the code tonight. Why the rush? Leon's voice was flat, final. We're moving in.